All right, I am super excited tonight to bring our next guest to Softwave University. Dr. Peter Goldman has practiced for close to 28 years now. He's a life graduate um, down here in Atlanta, Georgia from 1995, but really over the last few decades has literally created the ZoneTechnique, which tonight's episode is called The Missing Link in Healing. And I first have to give a shout out to Russ Corey for connecting us. And, Peter, I've been a fan of yours for like the last 4 or 5 years and watched you travel literally all over the world to teach your technique. And you've helped thousands of doctors and technicians. So without further ado, here's the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Matt. I appreciate it. So there's a couple things I wanted to chat about, and I'd like to be helpful to everyone. So presumably, chiropractors who use SoftWave, and probably other chiropractors too, but certainly chiropractors who use SoftWave presumably want to help people. And that's what they want to do. There are people who come to them who are in pain or they're sick or whatever's wrong with them, and they want to be able to help them. So obviously they have their chiropractic training. Yeah, they have their chiropractic training, and that has taken them so far, and they've added SoftWave to the equation to take them farther to help people. So the question is, if we're talking about chiropractors who do whatever technique they do Gonstead or CBP or upper cervical or network or whatever, and they're adding SoftWave to the equation, and probably seeing some great results, and I'm sure they are. The question is, what really heals? So let's kind of take a step back from Gonstead or Thompson or SoftWave or whatever. Let's just take a step back to what heals. And it's interesting because let's just say there's someone who believes, and I'm not saying it's not true, but let's say there's someone who believes that the cause of dis-ease, at least if not fully, at least partially, are subluxations. Let's say there's someone who believes that, and again, I'm not saying it's not true. So the person who believes that subluxations are the cause of dis-ease would examine a patient in front of them, find the subluxations the way they think they can, and then relieve the subluxations to reduce nerve interference, etc. I don't have to explain that to all you guys and girls because and then of course, like I mentioned a little earlier, you're adding SoftWave to the equation to help them even more, and results are results. When you see between the adjustments and the SoftWave the people getting better, it's very gratifying. With that said, though, the chiropractor who believes that subluxation is the cause of dis-ease, well, remember I said before, the question is what heals. So a chiropractor would say what heals is having someone unsubluxated, and then innate, that's the term chiropractors use, obviously, would then, with no interference, have the ability to heal this person in front of them. So that's an idea. That is an idea of what heals. Taking nerve interference away by subluxation relief. We'll put SoftWave to the side for the moment, but just adjusting subluxations and letting innate do what it does. That's an idea of what heals. And some people believe that is what heals, finding subluxations and fixing them. But acupuncture has been around for 2,500 years from China. It's been around for 2,500 years. And acupuncture, if you look at the annals of acupuncture, they have fixed every disease you can think of. Musculoskeletal and or non-musculoskeletal, acupuncture, you just name a disease. They fix freaking tuberculosis, name a disease, asthma, adrenal problems, liver problems, neck pain, back pain, knee swelling, ankle swelling, depression, panic attacks. Name a condition, and in the last 2,500 years, acupuncture has fixed it. But they don't look for subluxations. They don't care about x-rays. They don't care about the atlas. They don't care about your brainstem. They don't care about your curves like a CBP doctor would. They care about, if you go to an acupuncturist, not that I'm an expert on acupuncture, but a real deal acupuncturist will look at your tongue, feel your pulse, and they will see which meridians are blocked, and then they will put needles in very specific places these places have been discovered 2,500 years ago. And then with putting the needles where they put them, they open up the meridians and these people heal. So again, we're asking what heals? That's the question. What heals? Well, a few minutes ago, it looked like subluxation relief healed. And now it looks like, I wonder if that's necessary because acupuncturists don't care about subluxations, but they heal everything under the sun. So maybe acupuncture heals. I don't know. Maybe that's the answer of what heals. Maybe meridian clearing or whatever it's called in acupuncture. Maybe that's what heals. However, not as old as acupuncture, but Hahnemann was the founder of homeopathy approximately 200 years ago. And I'm not talking about like going to Whole Foods and self-diagnosing and looking at the little blue bottles and getting a homeopath. I'm talking about a real deal classical homeopath where you give them a 2-hour history and they'll give you a constitutional remedy that can change your whole freaking life. Again, in the last 200 years or whatever it's been since Hahnemann made homeopathy, look at the annals of homeopathy, they fixed everything. Homeopathy's fixed every terrible disease you can think of, every organic disease, depression, anxiety, inflammation of the whatever. I mean, they have. Just check it out. Just read up. So maybe homeopathy heals, because what homeopathy does, they give you very minute doses of something that if it was given in a large dose would cause the disease that small dose is fixing. It's almost like a natural vaccine, I guess. I'm not a homeopath, but it's my amateur analysis. That's my amateur analysis is they give you this tiny dose of something that, like I said, in a bigger dose would actually cause the condition that it's stimulating the body's natural healing forces to do. So maybe homeopathy is what heals. Maybe it's not subluxation relief, because homeopaths don't care about subluxation. Believe me, you go to a classical homeopath, tell them all your terrible symptoms and diseases, they'll give you hopefully the proper remedy. It will stimulate your body to heal. And guess what? All of a sudden, the liver problem is gone, and the neck pain is gone or whatever. Yeah, like neck pain, back pain, they heal that too. So again, we're asking what heals? What is it that actually heals? Then we could look a little further. Even you can go to a Christian Science practitioner. Now, Christian Science practitioners, they don't put needles in you like an acupuncturist. They don't give you a remedy like a homeopath, and they don't relieve your subluxations. They don't touch you, or maybe they shake your hand or put their hand on your head. I don't know. I've never been to a Christian Science practitioner. But if you look at the annals of Christian Science, they fixed you name a disease, they fixed it. Name it. Sciatica, freaking swelling, headaches, depression. Christian Science have fixed all that. Something like I'm not a Christian Science practitioner, but it's probably something like, hey, you've been thinking negatively, but God loves you and Jesus loves you, so just accept that, and you'll heal. And if they can accept that, so somehow they heal. And of course, there was a doctor named Dr. Locke. I may be pronouncing his name wrong. It might be pronounced Locke, but it's Locke. He was a medical doctor in Ontario, Canada. I think it was the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been the 1910s, maybe 1920s. And Dr. Locke would adjust everyone's metatarsal arch. You can look him up. He used to sit in a stool, like a revolving stool, and they had all these chairs around him, and people would just line up like 300, 800 people a day, and he'd just go and crack, crack, crack. And, even though he wasn't a chiropractor, he was an MD, he would manipulate the metatarsal arch, and he fixed cataracts. I mean, just look it up, cataracts. And people had cataracts, adjust their foot. 3 weeks later, their eyes are healed. In fact, the Secretary of State of the United States went up to Canada. He had some serious disease, and he got healed by Dr. Locke, had his foot adjusted. So, Dr. Locke, he didn't care. He wasn't telling anyone about Jesus like the Christian Science practitioner. He wasn't putting needles in people like the acupuncturist. He wasn't giving a remedy like the homeopath. And he certainly wasn't adjusting besides the foot, he wasn't adjusting the spine. He didn't care about the atlas or the brainstem or, the hyperkyphosis of the thoracics. But somehow he fixed everybody. I mean, there's all kinds of things.
We're talking healing. We're talking all sorts of different healing over 2,000 years, and we're trying to find what the missing link is, right?
Exactly. So let me just, before I tell you the missing link, I just want to give a little bit of my qualifications to say it, because obviously anyone could come, anyone comes say anything. But let's face it, if someone's trying to tell you about money, someone wants to be your money manager and they're living on the street, I don't know if they're the best person to advise you on money if they're homeless. Now, don't get me wrong, just because someone's very rich, it doesn't mean they're a good money manager. They might be a freaking crook. Maybe you don't want them to manage your money, but I'm just saying it's a good step in the right direction if they have a little money themselves. So I just want to say a little bit about kind of my qualifications to say what I'm about to say. So first of all, I just want to tell you that most chiropractors, even the ones who say things like, the power that made the body heals the body, and they talk about innate and BJ Palmer's green books, and they say, they're a nervous system doctor. They probably have a poster up in their office that is like an autonomic nervous system chart with all the organs. But most of those chiropractors, if you go in their office and you interview everyone sitting there, 99% of the people are there for neck and back pain. So I just want to say that in the many years I've been doing this, about 90%, 99 out of 10 of my patients are there for their liver, their gallbladder, their thyroid, their pancreas, their blood sugar, their blood pressure, like hardcore systemic issues that have failed with acupuncture and medicine and maybe chiropractic, but most people don't even go to chiropractic for that stuff, and have healed. That's most of my practice, of course. And by the way, I do everything with my hands, 2 minutes in a flat bench, nothing else. So it's not like I'm giving vitamins or some kind of thing like that. Nothing against doing that, but I'm just saying, just my hands.
I gotta
also,
say,
I just want to make another.
Yeah, I gotta say, my wife and I were lucky enough to go up, and you're in Franklin, Tennessee. We went for a few days. I've had chronic neck pain since I was 19. The last 2 years, I'm stiff as terrible. We spent 3 days with you, and my neck is moving the best it's moved in 4 years. Not that you are a subluxation based type you are a subluxation based doctor, but what you did and how you did it was pretty cool. Like nobody could ever move me in seated position, and I was just like blown away with how freed up you got my cervical spine. I mean, I'm feeling really good. But you worked up to it, and the stuff you did with my wife was pretty cool. So kind of share a little bit. I mean, we did our research. I've sent some links in this event that you guys can click on to learn more. But go ahead, Doc. You were doing this in school. You were treating some of the professors, and Dr. John Downs actually sent you to the Olympics, right? Back in 95, 96. When was that?
Yeah. So you're on a several subjects. Let me try to hit all of them. Just wanted to make one more point before I get to that. So what I wanted to say is that also, in addition to what I talked about, the type of patients who have come to me, I want to say that, and again, I'm just saying this in preview to what I'm going to say, just so you know the source. I want to say that most chiropractors, I'm sure with exception, but most chiropractors, 98% of their patient base lives within an hour of their office driving. Maybe they have like a couple patients who love them that drive 3 hours, but most chiropractors, their patient base is right there. I want to say in the last 28 years, I've had people flying to me from 30 different countries and cities around the world. So that should tell you something. New York, Chicago, Guam, Hawaii, UK, Ireland, Holland, Japan, Malaysia, etc. So anyway, I just wanted to give you that context. Now, with that said, I will just address what Dr. Matt said is a good point. So because I was learning what I know outside of school, I didn't learn it in school. By the time I was in about 8th quarter at Life University, half the faculty were my patients, and I was a student. It was very rare. You don't really have students adjusting faculty unless they're practicing on them or getting credits in the outpatient clinic. But nonetheless, I had half the faculty come into my apartment. So anyway, that is correct. And John Downs, who was he probably still is a very prominent guy back when I went to school, he was one of them. Okay. Anyway, So anyway, we're looking for, what is this element of healing? If, we talked about the Christian Scientist, the homeopath, the naturopath. And, I know there's something Dr. Matt wants me to bring up about the image of healing, which I'm going to. I just want to bring up this one other thing that's very interesting about healing. And we'll go back to chiropractic because we started with chiropractic. We talked about like some of the other professions. I want to say something about chiropractic. So back to what really heals. Forget about the fact that we're already saying that there are acupuncturists and homeopaths and who are not caring about x-rays or the neck or subluxation, who heal every disease, help heal every disease under the sun. But let's now even take it within chiropractic about what really heals. So let's look at this. Let's just say that we presume, and again, I'm not saying it's not true. Let's say we presume that people are sick because their bones are out of place. Let's forget about all those other professions. Let's just take it right back to chiropractic. And let's just presume that people are sick because they're subluxated. Now, I would think the subluxations most likely exist between occiput and coccyx for the most part, okay? So presumably if someone's sick, if you believe in that model, then between occiput and coccyx, bones are out of place, pressing on nerves. So let's just say we had an imaginary person here. So here's, if you could just pretend, here's an imaginary table, it's an imaginary chiropractic table, and there's an imaginary patient laying on the table, maybe they're coming for their first adjustment. And I say to a Gonstead doctor, hey, this person is sick, according to us chiropractors, because their bones are out of place. Can you tell me where their bones are out of place? And the Gonstead doctor, they take a full spine x-ray, they mark it, they do motion palpation, static palpation, the Gonstead instrumentation, etc. And after all that, they say, okay, now I'm taking notes here. They say, well, you got a C5 PRS, T7 PLS, and L5, whatever. So I take a note. So presumably this person who's laying here is sick, whatever, and we don't know, maybe they have digestive problems, an immune system problem, neck pain, period cramps, whatever's wrong. They are sick because C5, T7, and L5 are out of place. And the Gonstead doctor says, look, if I adjust these enough, they will not be subluxated anymore. And innate will take over, and presumably, whatever I said, their digestion and their period, they're all going to hit. Which I'm not saying they wouldn't. But here's the thing. Then I bring a CBP doctor in, the same patient laying there, CBP doctor, same doctor. I'm the same patient. I say, doc, this person is presumably subluxated. You do CBP. Can you tell me where they're subluxated? Because we should address that. And the CBP doc says, well, you could tell. Just look at their cervical x-ray. They have a kyphotic neck. So unlike the Gonstead doctor said, which is C5 needs to be, put in place, PLS or whatever, PRS, whatever I said. This is not a intersegmental subluxation. This is a global subluxation. We have to get their neck curve back. We have to get the normal lordosis. So they have a global subluxation from C1 to T1. They don't have like a C5 something. And then when the Gonstead the CBP doctor looks at the thoracic, they say, no, they have it. Look at this. This is a very nice, almost perfectly angled thoracic kyphosis. It's proper. So we're actually not going to adjust T7, PL, whatever. And whatever they say about the pelvis, I'm sure it's not going to be L5, like whatever, like they got. So already we're trying to find the so-called subluxation of why this person's sick. And we have two experts that are not even agreeing on where these things are. But let's go further. Same patient's laying there, bring in a good motion palpation doctor. MoPal, motion palpation. I believe the founder, I think his name was Gillette, something like that. And he said, motion is life. So he's looking for motion. So they do the scan of the spine and they say, man, this person's neck is moving good. This person's neck is moving good. This neck does not need to be adjusted. It's very good motion according to MoPal. Great range of motion. Well, they're disagreeing with the CDP doc that said the kyphosis needs to be addressed. They're disagreeing with the Gonstead doc that said C5 is rotated, but they like the motion, so they're not going to touch that. Then they go down to no, the thoracics are moving good, but where the thoracics meet the lumbars, we'll call it like L1, is totally stuck. So they're going to work on that to bring the motion back, but they're not even going to touch L5 because they think the pelvis moves fine. You know, you've seen a quick scan, they touch both, like, you know. So here's the motion palpation doctor. They're a chiropractor. They're looking for subluxations. They're saying, well, according to me, L1 T12 needs to be really moved to get this motion back. And once that motion's back, we can scan the whole spine. The motion's back. So they can't find where it is. Now, bring the upper cervical doc. I don't even have to tell you, they're going to get C1 or C2. So they say, no, this whole person's problem is Atlas ASLM. Say, yeah, but what about T7? Forget T7. You know, what about the Atlas ASLM? So again, I'm going to give one more example, then I'm going to make the overall point. Bring a network doctor in. An old school network doctor will tell you to do light contacts to prepare the meninges, because if you don't prepare the meninges, according to this old school network idea, then you're actually hurting the person. You're actually damaging the person. So here's this Gonstead doctor on visit 2. They're like, bang, T7. The network doctor's like shuddering. Oh my God, they're damaging their meninges, whatever. Not to mention, even after the meninges are prepared for X amount of visits, the network doctor's never really doing the thoracics anyway. They're just doing, like, you know, the occiput and the sacrum or coccyx or whatever. So here's the point. If it's true, we asked what heals, right? If it's true that people are sick from the chiropractic perspective because they're subluxated, maybe it's a little distressing that no two chiropractors can find where this thing is. Now, listen, you know, God forbid someone gets shot and they have a bullet in the right lower abdomen. Guess where the surgeon is going to go to save their life? The right lower abdomen. And guess where 60 out of 60 surgeons are going to go? The right lower abdomen. And here chiropractors are saying subluxation causes disease. In fact, when I went to Life, there was little bumper stickers at the bookstore. I never bought one. It said subluxations kill. People put them on their, you know, bumper sticker. So if subluxations kill, like the bullet, you know, God forbid someone gets shot, then I should hope they should find where they are. Meanwhile, you know, one doc does, you know, the motion palpation doctor is like, I don't want to touch, this neck is moving beautifully. And the CBP doctor is laughing. The CBP doctor is like, what kind of fucking nerve do you have to say that this neck is fine? Look at the lateral cervical. Look at this big kyphotic neck. I mean, what are you, crazy? So already, so we have to say, but wait a second, because they all get their results, you know, all those different docs, they fix, you know, sciatica and neck pain and headaches. Like, so what is doing the healing? Like, what is doing the healing? So let me just kind of, I'm definitely skipping some steps here because, you know, I'm trying to keep this to a certain amount of time. But I will make this statement. The concepts in the patient's subconscious mind about their health is what's going to manifest in their body. And if you can determine what concepts are in a patient's subconscious, and you know how to access that and create a healing concept in their subconscious to override we'll call it for now, the dis-ease concept, then you're going to be what's known as a master healer. Again, I'm condensing a 30-hour talk into like a minute there. So, but that's that. Now, you know, one thing that's interesting, I want to tell this little quick story. I know Dr. Matt loves the story. This happened exactly. So, you know, I'm the founder of Zone School, and I have a guy in Zone School, very nice guy. He's in San Mateo, for any of you guys who know where that is. It's in Northern California. If you're at SFO, the San Francisco airport, it's just south of there. So he's in San Mateo. He's a very successful guy. He was a Gonstead doctor for about 30 years. He joined Zone School, dropped all that stuff, became doing the ZoneTechnique and the other principles I taught him in Zone School. And he called me up about 3 months into Zone School, and he said this to me. He said, Pete, I love Zone School. I'm so happy. He said, I got to tell you, he said, about a year ago, he told me he bought a decompression machine for discs in the low back pain and stuff. And he said, you know, I think I don't know if I want to use it anymore. But he said it costs a lot of money and I can charge a lot of money and I do want to use it. But I am not sure how to kind of work it into what you're teaching me. And I said to him, how's it going? He goes, well, it goes good. He said about 55% of people improve. Roughly, he was keeping some kind of records, I guess. He said about 55% of people with low back pain, when he got them on the traction or whatever it's called exactly, not whatever that's called, the decompression, about 55% had marked improvement, like drastic low back improvement, and about 45% had no change or minute improvement. So I said to him, I said, what were you saying to them? And he goes, I said, look, this is this machine. He kind of showed the mechanism of how it worked. He said, here's the good news. It's not going to hurt you at all. It's not going to hurt. So like at the minimum, nothing's going to happen. And there's a chance, it could help you. So you're coming anyway for your adjustments. Let's hook you up to the machine. And, most likely it's going to be something positive. And if it's not, it has no negative effect. So people would, happily sign up, and about 55% got better. I said, his name is Barry. I said, Barry, Dr. Barry. I said, listen, it's his first name. I said, remember the image of healing? Again, I'm condensing a lot of stuff here. I said, you tell them like this. You say, I've been giving you these adjustments. The missing link is this machine. This is the missing link between the adjustments and this machine. It's over, man. Or if it's a woman, it's over. I don't know if it's going to take 1 session or 2. It might take 10 sessions. I don't know. But in the not too distant future, you're going to be sitting here telling me your low back feels perfect because we're hitting it from every angle. The adjustments and this machine together, there's not a better combination in this earth that I'm aware of. If there was, I would send you there, but there's not. So he said, okay, I'll give that something like that speech. I don't think he remembered it word for word. I just came up with it off the top of my head. I talked to him maybe 6 months later. Maybe it was less. It could have been 4 months. I don't know. I said, Barry, what's up? 98%. He tracked it. 98% got better. I said, did you change how you hooked them up to the machine? No. Did you change the frequency? No. Did you change anything physical? Was there anything, the frequency, the way, how much you, nothing. I just told them what you told me. And I used to get 55%. Now I have 98%. So again, I'm condensing a lot of stuff here, but the image which they accepted is what manifested in their body. Anyway, look, I'm going to wrap up because
let's go. We got some extra time here, and you have over 1,400 students all around the world. You teach your seminars. How do people find you? How do people get to you? I know I want to send one of my docs, Dr. Mark Daniel, who's he's going to be seeing this recording, and we've already talked to him about it, but tell some of our docs how they can get in touch with you and what your schedule's like.
This is my theme. This is my message to anyone watching live or record. This is my theme. This is a very simple theme. And first time I talked to Dr. Matt, I said this to him. Every chiropractor right now, they were trained in certain techniques. They were trained in certain philosophies. They show up at their clinic based on whatever techniques they've learned or created themselves or philosophy they got. They show up at their clinic, and then patients show up at their clinic. Every chiropractor right now has a certain level of ability to help people with musculoskeletal conditions and non-musculoskeletal conditions. So someone walks through the door, they have terrible sciatica, neck pain, musculoskeletal. They have a certain ability to help them. And then if someone walks in the door where they took a blood test and their thyroid is messed up, they have a certain ability to help them, probably pretty low. Because most chiropractors would just say, oh, your thyroid's messed up. Hey, let's relieve your subluxations and see what happens. But not many chiropractors are going to look them in the eye and say, oh, thyroid, I'll wrap it up like I'll wrap up a stiff neck. It's not happening too much. So anyway, most chiropractors have their degree of ability to help people with musculoskeletal and non-musculoskeletal conditions at the moment. It's very simple. DCs who join Zone School, their abilities go here. In other words, if they were good with musculoskeletal or even great, they become freaking fantastic. If they were iffy with non-musculoskeletal, which most are, they become experts. So let me start by saying that. What Zone School is an online program. It's an online program. You join, the basic course has immediate and lifetime access to 50, it's 50 hours of me teaching you. You can watch 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 2 hours a day, whatever. It also includes 8 hours of weekly Zoom calls where you get to ask live questions. So as you're going through the material, you have 8 hours to ask me whatever you want. That's the basic course. So that's how Zone School works. It is an online program. Now, I do teach optional and supplemental live events. So I'll just, in which anyone is more than welcome to attend. So I'll just wrap up by saying this. If you want to attend a live event, simply go to the Zone School website, which is zoneschoolofhealing.com. Zoneschoolofhealing.com. Click on live events and register for one. I teach all over the country and the world, and join us. But I'll tell you right now, if you want to be an expert and learn what I teach, it's the online course is where to learn it. The live events are fun. They're amazing. You will see stuff you never saw before. I'll promise you that. You will be amazed and you'll love it. With that said, it's supplemental. It's hard to just show up at a live event, be blown away, and walk out and be an expert. You want to be an expert at what I'm teaching, you take the online course. That's how it works. And then the in-person events are totally optional. You don't even have to come to them. But if you do want to come, that's great. There's a special link for Dr. Matt's people. And I would think that he is going to post it when he posts this for everyone.
Exactly. I will. We'll get a little discount. And yeah, and I mean, I'm loving the fact that I've connected with Nate Brown, who's down here in Atlanta, and he's just doing some wonderful things. And, you've got doctors who may want to go try this. They can always meet you, go to Franklin, Tennessee, but they also can meet you at the live events. I'm excited. I'm excited because I continue to heal, even just seeing you a few weeks ago. And I'm excited to see you again in the next couple of weeks as well and get up there. All right. In closing, where do you see our profession in the next 5 to 10 years? And it's not going to be a huge one, but how do you see us? I mean, right now we tap into 12% of the population. How can we become more utilized in this world?
I have a couple of thoughts on that. First of all, of course, I have no idea because I'm not psychic, but so I don't have a strong opinion. I don't say like, oh, this is where I have no clue. With that said, what I think is unfortunate at the moment, and hopefully this will change. So when we're talking about like going forward, what I think is unfortunate at the moment, see, the kinds of chiropractors who just do neck and back pain, but that's all they want to do. Interestingly enough, although I don't do what they do, I actually respect them. I respect them because they say what they do. Like, they're just like, I just think chiropractic is for neck pain and back pain. That's it. That's all I do. I respect that. I mean, again, that's not my thing, but what I find, needs improvement is the chiropractor who, like I said, they talk about being a nervous system doctor. They talk about innate. They talk about above, down, inside out. They talk about BJ Palmer, if that's who they like. They have, like I said, they probably have the autonomic nervous system chart on their wall somewhere. But if a patient comes in and has like IBS, they're not that confident that they're just going to push on their back and in 3 weeks they're going to have perfect digestion. So my question to them is, what happened? Like, I thought you told them all this. You got the chart on your wall. I mean, you see the stomach, the liver. Like, why aren't you just going to push on their back? But Zone School solves that, because if someone comes to me with IBS, they ain't going to have it in 3 weeks, and I'm just going to use my hands, and that's it. Or if someone has endometriosis, I mean, how many women have endometriosis, go to a chiropractor's office? How many chiropractors feel like they're going to wrap that up, like they'll wrap up sciatica? None, unless they're in Zone School. So my theme for, listen, I don't presume to tell anyone how to teach or not teach. I don't presume to tell anyone how to practice or live their life, whatever. It's like, I'll give you an example. I hope you find this amusing, Dr. Matt or anyone else. I'll give you a quick example. There was this MMA fight, and something happened in the MMA fight. And my friend, who's an MMA fan, and he knows, I'm friends with a lot of fighters, and a lot of them are my patients. He called me up and said, "Pete, did you see that? What happened?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, that guy's such a prick. Like, he was so upset at this fighter, how he behaved. And he was trying to get me upset." So I said to my friend, his name is Tony, I said, Tony, why are you trying to get me upset about what this guy did? These are professional fighters. They're always, because the fight ended, they were fighting in the ring. Who cares? I said, if I want to get upset about something, I'll get upset about like people blowing each other up in the Middle East, not some like fighter like fighting some other fighter after. So it's the same kind of thing. I don't get upset about how chiropractors practice. I don't care. People could practice however they want. It's not going to upset me. Like I said, if I want to get upset, I'll get upset about people, blowing each other up in the Middle East or whatever. With that said, chiropractors who are sincere, who want to help people that they currently don't know how to help, and I know they don't know how to help, Zone School will solve that. Not to mention, Zone School has a money-back guarantee. I opened Zone School in 2017. I've had a money-back guarantee from day one. Imagine that. Imagine that I'm telling people, here, pay with your credit card, get access. You don't like it, it's free. It's a 60-day thing. If you go through the material and within 60 days, you don't freaking love it, get a refund. Now, from 2017 till now, with 1,400 members and growing fast, I've given 9 refunds. I mean, that's how good it is. I'm telling people, please take your money back if you don't like it. Imagine that. I'm like, take your money back. Like, no questions asked. Just write us an email. I don't like this. 9 out of freaking 1,400 people have got a refund. So I want it to be the best decision, of your whatever that you learned about healing, or I want to give you your money back. So that's and like I said, I don't know if Dr. Matt's going to put it in the chat here or post it with the main thing, but there's a special deal for you guys. So he knows all about that.
Thank you so much. And again, I love hearing your perspective. You're obviously doing something right. Results speak for themselves. Thank you for taking time out. And
I don't mean to interrupt, but I see a question from Elena Zuban, so I guess I should answer it.
Here you go. This is good. Yes, Elena, good question. How do you communicate the difference between
how do you communicate
to others when generating patient leads?
Easy results, because the thing is, like, this is a great example. I'm glad you asked that. Not only do you learn how to handle systemic stuff that chiropractors typically have no idea how to do, but let's talk about the musculoskeletal. This is the thing, and I'll end with this. I think I told Dr. Matt this. I want to end with this to answer Elena's question. This is very brief and very powerful. Many times in my career, patients have come to me and they've said this to me on the first visit with musculoskeletal. They have back pain or neck pain. They say, "Hey, Dr. Pete, I just moved from Ohio," or wherever they're from, "but I heard about you, so I want to be your patient." It's first visit. And they go, "By the way, when I was in Ohio, I had the best chiropractor, the best. I love this guy or girl. I love them." And they tell me they have a low back condition, and this chiropractor worked with them, pretty much adjusted them 2 to 4 times a month for the last 5 years. And if it weren't for this chiropractor, they would have been in much worse shape. So they really appreciate this chiropractor for managing their low back problem. And now they're coming, they happen to move where I am. They heard about me, and they tell me now they want me to manage their low back problem. And I tell them right away, I don't manage anything. I fix stuff. I'm not managing your low back problem. In a month, I want you to have a perfect low back. So that's, Elena, the difference. Like, A, we fix systemic stuff that no one else is fixing, and B, we actually fix musculoskeletal stuff. So that's my answer to Elena. Dr. Scott, thanks for coming on, and you're more than welcome. I saw the thank you. Join Zone School. You'll thank Dr. Matt, and you'll thank me.
And we'll thank Russ Corey, who is just an unbelievable Pinnacle doc who connected with us and has also sent us so many of his Pinnacle docs. Awesome. I'm just checking, and they love the perception. All right, my man. Have a good evening. I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll chat. We'll chat later.